This week, we're recapping the Nintendo Direct and PlayStation State of Play. This is the Good Game, Bad Game podcast.
This is a song I wrote about the Good Game, Bad Game podcast. Good Game, Bad Game podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Good Game, Bad Game podcast. I'm your host, Spencer, and with me is a man who is as pumped for Season 4 of GGBG as I am. It's my co-host, Mike. Mike!
Is it official?
Happy new season?
Wow. I completely forgot about that. Look at us.
I completely forgot about it, too.
Fourth season or third season?
It's the fourth season. It's like age. It's like how the age you turn is technically like the age you completed. Wait.
Yeah, because you start at zero.
It's not like age. Because we start on season 1. We didn't start on season 0. So
Gotcha.
So ignore my analogy. So yeah, no, we're starting the 4th year.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
My first gig in showbiz, so forgive me.
Same. So
Well, you've had a couple forays.
Yeah, no, I had the realization when I marked last week's episode as season 3, episode 52, which shout out to season 3 being a full season.
Wow.
And I was like, oh fuck, I meant to say something.
Yeah, that was the finale, and I was just kind of like,
yeah,
okay.
Really fizzled out.
Yeah. There's still time. Oh no, wait, no. Yesterday was Thursday.
Yeah, yesterday was Thursday.
We're doing so GGBG Inception again.
Yeah. We're technically pre-recording this, but it does line up with what the normal episode would be. But we kind of have the benefit because Nintendo and PlayStation announced. So we knew about the Nintendo Direct while we were recording, and I want to say it was like 30 minutes after we ended recording on Wednesday, Sony announced, or PlayStation announced, that they were doing a State of Play. And I was like, well,
yeah,
that all right, cool. Well, I know what we can talk about.
Typical timeline.
Yeah. So here we are the day after, so it's at least all fresh in our minds. And well, all of our minds, meaning you and I, Mike. For listeners, it's been a week. So
yeah. So they're probably like, why are they talking about this?
Yeah. Well,
because it's fun for us. That's why.
And it's, new enough. I can't wait for us to talk about the PlayStation Portal like 10 weeks after we initially meant to.
Yeah. And the iPhone, which we've alluded to now twice, and it'll be old news by the time we get to it.
That's all right. It's a matter of picking your battles, and
we have lives, people. One of us basically lives on vacation, so feel bad for us.
All right. Is that me? Am I the one who lives on vacation?
I didn't say it. I could have been insinuating me. I live on a lake.
You just live your life to the fullest. So it's every day's like a vacation for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Mike, it's been 48 hours since we've recorded. Any updates on Starfield?
This is going to be a shock. I have not played Starfield in the past 48 hours.
But you do have a Starfield-filled adventure ahead of you. Oh,
yeah, I hope so. And if I don't, then...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Guess what? It's a morning episode. We can do that today. I had a dream about Starfield last night. That's how fucking crazy this is getting. I couldn't tell you. There are a few games in my life I can think of. This is now the third. 3 games. And I'm wondering if this is like the catalyst for something being on my gaming Mount Rushmore. is if I dream about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because The Last of Us, I've had dreams about that game before. Cyberpunk, and these are 2 games, both on my Mount Rushmore, and now Starfield. So that's not an inauguration. That's just I think that's the direction we're heading with this game.
That's crazy. That's crazy. It's definitely that's a crazy feeling waking up and realizing you were dreaming about a game.
Yeah.
I think that definitely says a lot about the hold that it has on your subconscious.
Yeah.
Not to like become the good dream bad dream podcast, but in a similar vein, I had a dream about Spider-Man 2.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
like,
is dreaming about Spider-Man really about the game, or is it about the desire to jump off a tall building?
it was definitely about the game because I had this like wild dream that Insomniac, ironic, yep, they like released an extended demo, but to people who had pre-ordered the game that you could like play like the first 30% of the game or something. It was like this whole weird thing, and I was like, "What's happening?" And then I woke up and I was like, "Yeah, okay, that tracks."
That is a true gamer's dream.
That you get to like,
like it's not that you're in the game. It's not that you are Spider-Man and you have like that feeling of like flying through buildings or web slinging through buildings. It's,
right.
You're having the dream of, oh shit, I can play this game.
Literally,
right
though, like that was a true. Because I've had like, you have dreams where you're like in the world, right? I'm assuming that was more so what you meant about Starfield, and not that you were dreaming about sitting on your couch.
I was throwing landmines into a crater on the moon and then covering it in cheese just to see what the physics would do.
Oh my god.
That of course wasn't the dream, but I hope you saw that video because just ever since people got a hold of the physics of this game.
I have not seen that. That's insane. I have seen the whole milk carton thing, and that's pretty nuts.
So somebody was on a moon and they filled a crater with cheese and just chucked a bunch of grenades into it to see what would happen. And it was spectacular.
That's so awesome. Oh my god. I can't wait to get my hands on this game. One day. For now, I'll just have to hope that I can dream that Bethesda ports it to PS5 and I, in my dream, play it on, on my PlayStation.
It's about as close as they're gonna get. Don't you have a gaming laptop?
I do. It's not. Maybe it would be good enough to run Starfield.
Probably on like lower medium specs.
I could mess around with it. I do want to build my own PC.
Why don't you just get a month of Game Pass for PC?
Okay.
And try it. And if it doesn't work, just don't resubscribe to Game Pass.
It's true.
These are the things you got to think about. Not that you don't have other games to play, but could be playing Starfield.
Yeah, anyway, so we're so off topic right now, but
that's fine.
I'm obviously playing Baldur's Gate 3, and I'm realizing that Cyberpunk, I keep forgetting the date that comes out. Is that next week or is it the following? I think it's the following.
Should be the following. It should be, where's my calendar? The 26th? It's the Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah. I get back from vacation on the 24th. And like I leave tomorrow, basically. Like I leave the 16th and won't have my PS5 starting the 16th. And then I won't be back to my PS5, my little baby, until the 24th. So basically what I'm getting at is I don't have a lot of time to put into Baldur's Gate 3 before Phantom Liberty comes out. And boy, oh boy, did I shoot myself in the foot.
Here's the tough thing that I've been dealing with is that the new update for Cyberpunk is out too. and I'm trying to figure out if I need to play that a bit before Phantom Liberty. I think I will, just to like kind of get my hands back around it.
Yeah.
Um, but there's evidently it's an entirely new game now, just after that update.
Ugh, can't wait. I cannot wait.
Too many games. Too much.
Many games. I'm telling you, literally.
This is the worst year in gaming. There's just too many. It's an abundance.
Yeah, either, I don't know what is looking ahead at a calendar. Either the episode on December 28th or the episode on January 4th will absolutely be dedicated to looking back at this entire year and how absolutely insane it's been. Like the new Legend of Zelda game came out this year. And I feel like I keep forgetting that.
Yeah.
And it's because of like
you're
everything.
Alone.
Yeah, I think it's because of everything else going on right now. But like Legend of Zelda didn't even have such like a grip as like Breath of the Wild did when that came out, right? Like it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Just
it was
crazy.
like I feel like the only thing I saw from Tears of the Kingdom was people just building ridiculous machines.
Yeah, like giant
Like-
robot dildos.
Yeah. Like I feel like I didn't hear anything spectacular about like the story. It's just like people loved the building.
Yeah. Just nuts. So look forward to that. Look forward to realizing the games that I've missed out on. And also talking about the ones that we've gotten to play. All right. Let's talk about these events. What do you say?
Let's do it as I blow my nose.
Okay, sorry. The king
Yeah,
at
you're
good
good.
timing. Let's start with Nintendo since they were the first event. What?
Okay, let me change my tabs.
Ooh, sorry. What were your thoughts overall for this this Nintendo Direct?
I saw my thoughts overall. I thought it was incredible. This was probably the most like nostalgia filled event I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I mean that's Nintendo, right? They're the king of the nostalgia machine, and they're crushing it in the best way possible, I would say, when it comes to the Switch. Personally,
It's not quite
think
on
so.
Wii U level, but it's close.
Yeah, I guess it's
Um,
because like the sheer volume of people who have a Switch and will get to like dip into these games from
Yeah.
the 64, the GameCube and stuff like that. Because you're right, the Wii U and the Nintendo Shop for that was really good at least giving you avenues to play games. But I mean, just like the updated like visuals and stuff like that, I don't know the amount of work that goes into that, and at times it can feel lazy, but I think it shows like at least some ounce of care, and it doesn't make it feel like just a total money grab, even though at the end of the day, like that's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
So, but I don't blame them, like, and people want these things, right? Like people like have been begging for these games and to have the opportunity to play them on like a current console, and well, here you go. So
yeah, and there were two really, really potent examples, and I think they were the first two things shown. I don't remember, but it's also the order that IGN is putting them in, so it's what I'm going with. The first one being Paper Mario: 1,000-Year Door.
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted that game as a kid, and I think I asked for it for Christmas one year, and I didn't get it. And this came out in 2004. I think it was relatively near, or no, it wasn't near launch for GameCube. GameCube came out in what, 2001, 2002?
Yeah, sounds about right.
Okay. I don't remember exactly when we got our GameCube, but I know I wanted this game, and I didn't get it, and I still haven't played it, and I'm sure it's impossible to get for the GameCube right now. So I'm excited to play this game.
As somebody who has been working on building up a video game collection, shout out to my wife Shelby, who still has her copy of Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door because it is it's a Mario game. So
Mm,
I don't know if it's necessarily hard to find, but you're not going to find it for
cheap.
less than
Yeah.
$100, which can sometimes be a hard pill to swallow for a 20-year-old game.
Yeah. But if it holds up, holds up. So I'm excited about that. I will more than likely buy that game. And then the thing that really got me excited, even though I really don't need it, because I think I still have my copy of this game. I should. But probably number 3 on my list of favorite Game Boy Advance games of all time. It was Mario versus Donkey Kong.
That's crazy. Wow.
I remember when that game came out. I remember we got it. And then this game actually has a really funny history with me because my brother and I each had a copy of it. So I think he got the original copy. And then shortly after that, my grandmother found a box of Game Boy Advance games in a dumpster. Don't ask me why she was looking at a dumpster. It's not that shocking, but there was a copy of this game in there. And I was so stoked because I love playing my brother's copy of it, but of course it was his copy, so I didn't really have free reign on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I will probably get this game again, mostly because I want Justine to try it, and I know she won't play it on a Game Boy Advance.
Which is, I'd say, fair. Now that we have this device, the Switch,
Right.
That's crazy. I actually, I guess I just never knew. I never knew, one, that you had this, and two, I didn't realize how beloved it was.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
I guess I didn't really talk about Game Boy Advance games much, but Metroid Fusion. Favorite. Well, I guess probably Pokemon Ruby was my favorite Game Boy Advance game in terms of the amount of time I put into it. And then probably Metroid Fusion, and then Mario versus Donkey Kong.
I mean, that's just so funny. I didn't even know these games existed until more recent.
Well, they kind of became. They did a couple full-fledged games, and then they kind of became I don't know if mini games is the right word. I think there was actually one on the Wii U, and it was one of the games that you had to buy on the store before it closed, or else you'd never get it again. But it was just I think it was a $4 or $5 game or something like that. So really just a mini game.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I was stoked about that. That actually, I didn't watch it when it started, and I think I saw Wario 64 post that they're remastering or remaking, whatever they're calling it, remaking Mario vs. Donkey Kong. I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah. It looks really good, visuals, and they also confirmed that there was going to be co-op, which has me really excited because I enjoy Mario games, but I always have way more fun playing them with Shelby and cheesing it and stuff like that. It's the one game that you obviously can play on your own, but both of us only ever play together. We never we have all of the Mario games for Switch and stuff, and we will never pick it up and play it on our own, but we'll play them together. So it's just that had me really excited.
Yeah, that I'm hoping it's something that Justine would like, because I would play the shit out of the game, and it's probably a game that she would enjoy playing with me because it's not like regular Mario where she just flies through it. She's so good at it.
She fucking carries.
I was yeah, just don't pop me. Just let me float.
Oh man,
I was so happy when I saw. We finally watched the Super Mario Direct.
Uh-huh.
and I was so happy when I saw that mechanic was coming back.
Oh, of course. For Wonder.
Yeah.
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 Oh my god. Yeah, I like that. Exactly. Like I'm so excited for that game. Mainly because I know Shelby and I will play it together, and neither one of us is the Justine in our relationship, so neither one of us is able to carry when it comes to those types of games because we both have like just terrible um jump what's the word, confidence. We have terrible jump confidence, so we're constantly like trying to get on those like 1x1 squares and like immediately sliding right off because you're just like freaking out when you actually land it. Good stuff. But you're right. This direct was pretty phenomenal for the fact that they nailed bringing back old games. So we already touched on Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, which that actually got me thinking, is the original Paper Mario from the 64? Did that ever get like a port? Is it at least on the online catalog? I was curious
That's a
about
really
that.
good question.
I never looked.
I hope it's on the online catalog because I would play that.
Yeah. But you got the Mario versus Donkey Kong, and that's a remake. And then they're also bringing Luigi's Mansion 2, which I think that's the one that was on 3DS, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's coming to Switch. Which that also got me thinking, did they do the original Luigi's Mansion from GameCube at any point?
Man, you're really testing me.
I know. I'm so sorry. I'm like floating these out there because I couldn't remember.
I don't think they did.
So like, there's another one that it just got me thinking about how like they've done so well at bringing all of these forward and bringing them up, but it's just insane the catalog that I guess they still have, right? And it's not like a knock on them for not doing any of these. It's just insane. Like it's just insane that they have all of this at their disposal.
Right.
Because then they also showed off Super Mario RPG Remake, which looks, again, visually looks amazing. Shelby and I are still playing the one for the SNES, and it's such a good game. And I haven't even had the opportunity to talk about it these past couple of episodes, but I started playing, is it Sea of Stars? And it plays like the Mario RPG, and that just has me like so excited and like just itching to like play this remake.
Yeah, I think I will even pick this up. I almost did. And I need to shout out Nintendo again for doing the I forget what they call it, but essentially you get 2 games for $100,
mm-hmm.
regardless of the price. So we did that recently because Justine knew she was gonna pre-order Wonder. Like, okay, well then I'll get Pikmin because that came out. I think I technically pre-ordered that too by a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be doing it at least 2 more times, as long as these titles are included in it, which I'm sure they will be.
Right. Just absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And then they also announced that F-Zero is kind of back. And they showed off this like battle royale racing. And I actually thought it was like a really neat concept. I mean, I'll probably never touch it. But I thought the concept was really neat and like a cool way of like kind of tipping their hat to F-Zero, because again, people who are all aboard the nostalgia train are, you know, they've been calling for a new F-Zero game simply just because. And so yeah, this was kind of a cheeky way almost of like bringing back F-Zero.
I'll probably try it out. I've always wanted to get into the F-Zero games. I've never played any of them except for the one that came out for GameCube. And my brother and I just rented that from Blockbuster, so we never had it. So we only really played it for a week or whatever.
Oh my god, that sounds...
But that game should get remastered. Listen, you gotta throw that flex out there every now and then.
Hell yeah.
I lived it.
That's how we remind people that we're actually millennials, because we're on the cusp. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, just those things alone, right, made it, I thought, a pretty special and good direct. They also, showed off the final wave for the Mario Kart DLC, right?
Yep. Yeah, that'll be out. I think they said around December.
Is
It's
it
good timing.
Is it the final wave?
If they don't add anymore, it like shows as the final wave. Because if you look in Mario Kart, there's only like one more section left.
Gotcha. Okay. Because it does just say first look at the next wave, so I don't know. But anyway, which again, just
Well,
like,
I mean, I hope it's not. I
Yeah.
hope they keep adding it. Whatever.
I mean, just what a great way of, as much as, again, people have been like calling for Mario Kart 9, this is almost better, I feel like.
I mean,
Yeah.
they basically put out enough new maps
Right.
to call it a new game.
Right.
Especially if you include like the Mario Kart Tour ones too.
Right. Yeah, I mean, as long as you, if your first exposure to Mario Kart 8 was playing it for Switch, like you never had a Wii U and you never got it for the Wii U, and like you literally only ever got it for the Switch, and then you got all these booster courses, I mean, this game has immense value.
Mm-hmm.
Like insane value. I guess it depends on your feelings about DLC, but like if you're just on the highest tier, right, you get it for air quotes free. It's included at the highest tier, right? So,
and the highest tier is
it only like
$40 a year?
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't it something stupid? Like
the original one was $20 a year.
Okay. Yeah, so
I
it's
think
probably
the upgraded was like 35 or 40.
Yeah, which comes with like
the 64 emulator, the Genesis emulator,
and like
I think some Splatoon DLC and Mario Kart DLC,
Animal Crossing DLC, certain Game Boy Color games that aren't a part of like the base.
Yep.
Yeah, stuff like that. So it's yeah, pretty good value. So yeah, I think what they've done there has been amazing, and also got to see that like two, I would say, fairly fun and games that certainly Trombone Champ, I think, just makes a ton of sense for the Switch. And the way that they had it so that like you use your hand with the IR motion sensor as like the way of controlling the like pitch and stuff, I thought that was so neat. I was like, wow, that's actually really fucking cool. So I just thought that made sense. And then they also showed that Dave the Diver's coming to consoles, and it's like first coming to Switch, or I guess the assumption is that it's going to come to other consoles, but it's coming to the Switch first. And I've heard really amazing things about that game, and so I think it's really cool that in an era of gaming where the Switch is normally the one catching up on getting things, pretty neat that it's getting it first. And I think it's a game that, like, again, it just kind of makes sense on a Switch. Yeah. What else had you going from this?
To stay back on retro or kind of nostalgia picks, the Tomb Raider remasters was something I wasn't expecting, but something I'm very excited for. Again, for me, nostalgia, we played Tomb Raider 1 on PC all the time. And I just remember like that game being incredibly fun, incredibly difficult, especially when you get attacked by tigers. But and you have to use mouse and keyboard controls, and you're 5 or whatever. But I still remember a lot of that game, shockingly. So I'm excited about that. Getting a remaster. Let me see if there's any other. I don't think there's any more nostalgia hits. So there's some new stuff coming out too that I'm really excited for. One of them not a Nintendo only game, but feels like the perfect game for a Nintendo console, and that's Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown.
Mm-hmm.
We saw this at Summer Game Fest, and I think out of most of the, I think honestly, this was the Ubisoft game that they showed. I was like, I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that, and I can't believe that's going to come out at this point, January 18th.
Yeah, and it looks really good and really fun. This was a nice little. This was something I was not expecting to see at a Nintendo event. But like you said, it does kind of feel like, again, a game that just really does fit the kind of Nintendo mantra. And it looks phenomenal. I remember from Summer Games Fest, I think this was like the main highlight from the like kickoff show for both of us. I think this was like the one thing that we were both almost most excited for, if I remember correctly. Because it kind of felt like it was so out of nowhere. And it looks so phenomenal. So, yeah, I was very happy to see more of that.
And it's very, and this was like how Prince of Persia was originally, and then they eventually went to like a third-person 3D kind of game. But it's going back kind of like its Metroidvania roots, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah, you like Metroidvanias, right?
I like that.
You like those games?
I like that.
Right.
I at least like Metroid, frankly. Haven't played a whole lot of Castlevania in my life, but probably should.
Yeah, if it's the second half of the style, the naming convention of a game that you like, might be worth dipping your toe at the very least, right?
At least, yeah. They should do a collection on Switch if they haven't already.
They probably have.
Probably.
Anything else? I think there's only one other thing that I'm wanting to touch on. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch on for the Direct?
I think I'm on the fence about WarioWare because those games can be like so stupid and so fun.
Yeah.
And they're saying it's going to have over 200 micro games. So part of me is like, yeah, it seems like a no-brainer, but also I don't have friends that come to my house really.
I don't really have friends.
Am I just gonna sit here and play it by myself? Probably. But might consider getting some WarioWare as well. We'll see.
Yeah, I think you summed it up perfectly. WarioWare is like stupid, like so stupid, but yet at the same time seems fun. And 200 games, eat your heart out. 1-2 switch.
Yeah, with your 16 games or whatever,
yeah, something like that. Well, I think probably the biggest news or the most noteworthy from this Direct was the Princess Peach Showtime.
Yeah.
And the fact that it has a March release date is pretty insane. That is pretty insane. For the fact that when was the previous Nintendo? Was that back in June?
Yeah, I think it was around Summer Games Fest.
Yeah, so it was like 3 months ago. They gave literally just like Princess Peach is getting her own game. And then that was it. Like they didn't even show us anything for it. So then 3 months later be like, yeah, and it's going to be out in the next 6 months. Like, what? That is insane. Absolutely insane.
And I think it answers some questions too, because when we first saw this, I'm pretty sure I may have said on the show, I don't know, but I expected this to be a next gen game.
We did, yeah. We both said that. Yep.
So to know that it's coming out in March for the Switch is just insane. It's nuts.
Yeah. And on top of that, this game looks really good. It, I'm absolutely amazed at kind of like the style that they're going for. And just, I guess, the fact that it's not simply just a 2D side scrolling Mario game, but you're Peach. You know what I mean? Obviously there could have
Because you
been,
can do that in the new Mario game. You can
yeah.
just be Peach.
And you could obviously add like certain gimmicks, like, like I would consider like the way that Peach like changes into like a chef to like solve like, I guess, like puzzles and stuff like that, or like the detective or whatever, right? Like it's kind of like the gimmick of the game. And like you
Right.
could do something like that with a 2D like side scroller, but I don't know. This just feels like so much more care and thought and everything else was like put into this game. I'm super stoked for it. I think it looks really good, and it's just exciting that like Peach is getting her own games, first one in like 20 years. Um, pretty sick. Pretty sick.
Yeah. Yeah, I texted Justine after I watched it saying, hey, Peach game's gonna be out right before your birthday, so beat Mario by then. I'm sure she'll have Mario. She'll probably have Mario like 100%ed by then.
Yeah, that's plenty of time. That's nothing.
Yeah.
Um,
Sorry, this is just a funny segue, but this weekend we were talking. This is, like I said, we watched the Mario thing. When we got done, she was literally going online trying to figure out if we should buy another Switch. Because she's like, you're not going to be able to play anything once this is out.
that's so funny.
Um, yeah, so just a funny segue. But anyway,
Don't you love that? Don't you love when a game is gonna like has such an impact that it makes you consider buying a second console because of it?
yeah. Well, and just talking about the strength of the end of this generation and the fact that we're probably in the last year of only a Switch being out. Like, I'm sure it'll be supported for another couple of
Mhm.
years, but like, we're considering getting another one at the last year that it is the primary console, probably, or at
Mhm.
least the last 2 years. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
we were talking before the show. I think this is the strongest end of generation I've ever seen.
yeah. I'm inclined to agree. It's pretty nuts. Just how much they're like squeezing in. At what we presume to be kind of the last second.
Yeah,
Um, and honestly, it's like some of them are just like easy layups too, right? Like again, just by simply remaking or updating old games and like bringing them up to the Switch. Just insane, just absolutely insane. The value that a Switch has. Again, you're probably thinking in its last year or heading into its last year. Uh, Crazy, absolutely crazy.
yeah.
Anything else on the direct?
The one thing I want to call out, which I think is really cool and is really going to push me to make a decision that will cost me a lot of money, is the Nintendo Gallery Museum they showed. I personally, I apparently this is old news, but I didn't know about this.
Yeah, I didn't know that they were doing this either.
Well, the way IGN is wording it makes it seem like we should have known. So fuck
Well,
us, I guess.
fuck them.
Um, so yeah, they're converting an old plant in Kyoto, and I've been on a real Japan kick recently.
Hell yeah, brother.
I was actually looking at flights. I think right before we recorded earlier this week. So this is going to really want to push me to go see that because that's got to be really cool.
Yeah, I think the whole thing. I mean, right? It's like all of their old like consoles and stuff like that are going to be on display.
Yeah.
That definitely sounds something right up both of our alleys to see video game history. I think it sounds awesome. I also didn't know it was a thing, so I guess maybe we're dumb, but
But also, IGN has a typo here, so who's the real loser?
cook them. Overall, how would you rate this? If you had to give it the letter grade, what would you give this direct?
Oh, I'd give it an A plus.
A plus. Wow.
Yeah.
You've
Actually,
got,
no, sorry. I can't give it an A plus.
You've got pluses and
Um,
minuses on your system. Damn.
Well, the plus was just for extra credit, but I can't. I have to give it like an A or an A minus because they didn't say anything about any Metroid games.
Right.
It can never be an A plus until Metroid's involved.
You have to be a little biased, right? Like,
Yeah.
I get that. No, this was definitely. I agree. This was definitely an A. This crazy, just crazy that at the end here, this is what they're still pumping out.
Yeah, and that I think that biases the grade too, because they could have just done all movie games and we'd been like, okay, yeah, end of a generation. Like,
Yeah. They could have thrown in the towel, but it's just not their style, I guess.
nope.
Great. All right. Now let's shift focus. Still can't believe these were both on the same day, but let's talk about the PlayStation State of Play that also happened on the 14th. What were your thoughts here?
This one I was a little less thrilled about. I'll actually say a lot less thrilled about. This was for me as a biased person, have a PlayStation 5. I looked at this and said, even if I had a PS5, this didn't really one like major exception, and I think you probably know what that is. Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
No. Just what they showed for Spider-Man, and I don't know how much of this was actually showed at the I guess a lot of it was showed at the State of Play, but that game is going to be a technical masterpiece. I mean, with what they're doing with the technology and how fast you can like jump between Miles and Peter, the fast travel. That game.
I think you cut out there. You said that game and then
Interesting. I just said that that is a game. Spider-Man 2 is a game you're going to play and say like without a doubt this is a PS5 game.
yeah, which I think like people kind of pointed to that with the Ratchet and Clank game as well, where so the fact that it's Insomniac times 2, right? Is kind of funny. The Spider-Man 2 stuff that they showed, absolutely awesome. I think it's like great information that they gave, but to kind of like piggyback on your statement about how this was kind of a disappointing showing, is that going into this, so first off, it's always good to manage expectations, because I just saw your thing about the IGN article. It's always good to manage expectations, because I think going into it, they said that like they're going to be updating previously announced titles, they're going to be updating third-party titles, and they might have had like one other thing in there. So it's like it's always good to manage expectations and not just try to immediately jump on the hype train. And there are so many video game reactionaries online who are terrible about that. and they literally list like 9 games that will never come out because they'll never exist, but they get in their head that they do, and so they just expect
Metroid 4.
right, like Metroid 4. They're like, yeah, the State of Play is going to show off Metroid 4, GTA 6 is going to be a PS5 exclusive, and and they like it's all these things, and it's just like impossible to not also get your hopes up a little bit. Especially with the predictions that are like semi-realistic. Which like for the longest time Spider-Man 2 was like the realistic prediction, and then they started showing it, and now it's like, well, yeah, of course Spider-Man's going to be there. So anyway, with all that said, going into this, I really didn't want to see Spider-Man 2 here. I really wanted, like, there's only so much time that they're going to give to showing off things. I think it was like 30 minutes maybe. It's like, I know I want Spider-Man 2. I've seen enough that you can't possibly show me anything that's going to like make me want it more. So it's like, I want to see other stuff. And we did not see a lot of other stuff, in my opinion, that, gets me as a PS5 owner.
You didn't see anything.
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of a waste of a event in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I did see like the announcement just saying it's like an update on games that were already announced or already released, whatever. But the fact, and again, we don't really know if this was planned or not. They could have had this scheduled well in advance. But to like do it the same day as Nintendo,
I know,
and then like. And this is stupid. This also I don't think is Sony's fault, but maybe they should have considered a different way of approaching it. But this is the State of Play after Starfield,
right?
And so you knew there was going to be unreasonable expectations. And I think maybe just the disclaimer that it was just an update on existing games. I don't know what else you can do, but isn't really enough, because you also get like the Xbox people now who are like, oh, this is all you have, Spider-Man. Like this is you putting all your you're basically this is your only game to combat Starfield is Spider-Man. Which I don't think is a fair comparison. It's just, why do they even have it?
My guess is, and my I guess to put on like the tinfoil hat and as a PS5 owner, my hope is that it's because they're gonna have some other updates maybe at Tokyo Game Show. And maybe like these were things that wouldn't fit. And like I think Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is going to be shown at Tokyo Game Show. I think this was like their way of being able to like tie their name to it. It's going to be a PS5 exclusive, at least to start. My guess is that it is just going to be a PS5 exclusive. But like, Square Enix isn't a PlayStation first party studio or anything like that. So I think like it's almost like a semi cheeky way of being like, this is our game in a way. And then it's, again, I fully expect more to be shown at Tokyo Game Show. But like, I guess it kind of makes sense. It's like, yeah, maybe you don't want to waste a slot on Spider-Man 2 at Tokyo Game Show. So maybe they have something else cooking. That's like my, I'll say hope, I guess, is like this was to get out of the way certain updates on things. But it's just so weird because it's like, why do they need to have an event to show off the Resident Evil 4 DLC that's going to be coming? Why did they need a event to showcase an Avatar trailer? It's just kind of bizarre. And yeah, kind of a waste of hype, I'll say.
With any luck, this just means that we won't see more horny Splatoon at TGS.
And that honestly, that upsets me.
You would think, given the audience, they would show more. They would show even more.
Right.
But
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, to just
I think that's a good. I think that's a good point in saying, maybe this is just stuff that didn't make the cut for TGS, and they've got some big announcements they want to do there, and they didn't want to take away from that.
and yeah, and it's fun to think that, but then the follow-up is, but what the fuck are they going to show? Like, what would they show?
Yeah,
You know, it's like, I want to believe it, right? And like, maybe there's going to be some like, what? That's crazy. But like, it also just, they do kind of only have Spider-Man 2 right now.
right.
And boy, oh boy, are
And
they
I
really
guess
milking it.
Yeah, and I think it is going to be a spectacular game. Um, it just feels like, and this is the stupid thing about gaming, because it feels like Sony is potentially going into like the same window that Microsoft was in for the past year,
Mm-hmm.
where it's just like, they have stuff coming, it's just not the timing. But also the year before, it was just game after game after game, and it's like you can't have this cycle ongoing. There's lulls. That's how it works. Um, so I don't know. I just hope the narrative of Sony has no games doesn't start, because Sony has IPs out the ass.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's only a matter of time until we start seeing what some of these like top of the line studios are working on. But it is it is like good to remember that like Ghost of Tsushima came out, right at the end of the PS4. So yeah, like Sucker Punch is probably due for, you know, to show something soon.
New Infamous.
Yeah, the infamous remake trilogy. So like yeah, like there's something there. We haven't really heard or seen anything from Naughty Dog in a while, outside of The Last of Us Part 1, and all that. So, but yeah, this event was just very like whatever. And I think just to have something like this in the midst of all the other good announcements that there have been, and I think also that might be some of it we talked about at the top. Maybe we've just been so spoiled with this year that it's really, really hard to live up to just everything that we've been given in this calendar year. It's going to be an unfair like bar to live up to.
Yeah, but again, I think it just goes back to the question of why even do it.
Yeah, exactly. And
right.
I think it's like they just felt like, oh, we have to, we're supposed to almost.
Yeah, and that's the maybe it's open for a wider discussion, but like once are a couple of years removed from E3, like as it was, like the initial E3 where everyone had, well, I think the last time Sony was there, they had like the moving sats where they like had the crowd get up and walk.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, maybe we need to do a state of play and say like, do we really miss E3, or like is there an overabundance of these just stupid nothing burger updates?
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, you're 100% right. And this was truly the first state of play that I was like the most upset that they, even attempted to call this an event.
Yeah.
Because they've had other ones that like don't show off first party games, but it just felt like there were no meaningful updates here, And like in the past they've done like heavily indie focused or third party games, but they were giving like meaningful updates to those games about release dates and stuff like that. I will say the one positive is that all of these games that they showed are due out. I mean, a lot of them are, I think like a couple of them have October release dates. Some of them are still going to release in 2023. And then I think the one that's like the farthest out is that Baby Steps game that looks so fucking infuriating.
Another Bennett Foddy game.
Yeah, that is due out. I think it just has a summer release for 2024. I think that's the most vague release. So like that's another thing that you can take into consideration. It's like they're really only showing stuff. They're not giving you a cinematic trailer for a game that's not going to come out until 2027. And like I can somewhat respect that. So
I was really expecting to see gameplay for the new Bungie game.
right, and like I guess that's something that could potentially be shown at Tokyo Game Show, right?
No, I was being facetious.
Oh. Yeah.
I mean, I would like to see that,
Me too.
but like, I don't know. I guess I'm not expecting it until next year.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, this was especially to have like Nintendo, and that show was, so solid. And then,
Yeah.
this one they showed Foam Stars and they were like, and before we go, there's one other update from Square Enix, and they showed Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which does look phenomenal. Like the visuals just go so freaking hard, it's insane. And then they like cut back to, I forget who it was, who like the spokesperson was for Sony, but she was literally like, and that does it for today's State of Play. And like Shelby was like in the kitchen, and she turns and looks at me, and I look at her, and we both were just like, that was it. Like what? So
Yeah, a little strange, but yeah, I don't know. I have high hopes for them with TGS and frankly with Microsoft too. I think it's kind of cool they have their own dedicated show this year. So we'll see what happens.
yeah, I'm definitely excited for Microsoft events now, like that were post Starfield. So I mean, the Summer Games Fest showcase that they had was phenomenal, and then they did like 20 minutes on top of that solely dedicated to Starfield. But I'm so excited to see some more of those games that they showed during Summer Game Fest, and getting updates on those and where they're at. So I'm really excited for them to enter this like post Starfield era. Not that I'm excited, because we only just got the game, but when the focus is so isolated to one giant game that's coming, it's it becomes exciting when you can like kind of move away from that and start to get more focus on some of these others. So overall, how would you rate, give the State of Play a letter grade?
I really don't want to give it this grade, but I'm going to give it an F because it's just a nothing burger.
Yeah, I'd give it a D.
That was my initial like inclination, but really, the only thing they showed, in my opinion, was more Spider-Man updates, and like you said, we know.
Yeah, yeah. Technically, didn't need that.
Yeah.
God, that game's gonna be so good. I cannot wait.
Yeah, I'm starting to get some envy for that game.
Well, maybe Larian Studios will release Baldur's Gate 4, and it's actually a web slinging game, and you can, but it's also in the Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know how to
like,
I don't know how to make a crossover.
I don't know if you saw. I don't know if it was a mod or just a game somebody made, but it was basically like Dark Souls, but with Tony Hawk mechanics.
Yeah.
So it's possible. People are doing this stuff.
Wait, no, there's that game that's coming out that literally rips the web slinging from Spider-Man. Yeah. So just get that.
Yeah, I mean that's all I'm in it for. I don't care about the story. I don't care about the combat. I'm just here to sling web.
Yeah. Uh-oh. All right. Well, I think that's it for this episode.
So
look forward to TGS coverage next week. And yeah, hopefully there's a lot to talk about there. As always, thank you all so much for listening. If you could leave us a rating or a review wherever you do listen to the podcast, it'd be greatly appreciated. And if you could go ahead and share this podcast with a friend, share this episode with somebody who is a big fan of the GameCube era, because they're probably going nuts right now. And we're going to hype them up with this episode. So, other than that, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you next week.